Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
According to World Population Clock, there are over 8 billion people in this world. A whole 8 billion.
But despite that very insignificant percentage, how much power and how much significance does one individual have? Cash and I both came to the conclusion that one singular person has all the power in the world to make a difference in their society. But the question is not if they have enough power, rather, is it enough?
As a matter of fact, Mohandas Gandhi agrees with us. Hey Gandhi! In an article that details how Gandhi changed India's future and thus the world, it states, quote, Gandhi proved that one man has the power to take on an empire, end quote. This was also proved in 1991, where after a series of new policies, the Soviet Union...
Cash! You can't keep doing this.
Keep doing what?
Put down the script, stop recording, and stop citing the f***ing Soviet Union.
Before we continue, we have to thank our sponsor, Rage Jack!
Gandhi led the Indian independence movement in that first half of the 20th century, and his policy of civil disobedience eventually led to India's independence in 1947. The article later mentioned that, quote, Gandhi calmly fasted in prison, believing that his death would embarrass the British enough to spur independence, which had become the focus of his policies by 1920, end quote, proving that one man could indeed take on an empire.
We also saw this in George Orwell's 1984 with Winston and Julia. Over the course of a few months, they had rebelled against the party, mainly through acts of adultery. After being caught by the thought police, Winston would be tortured for many months after. Despite losing the war, Winston would win many battles, where he, quote, will confess, but not yet. I must hold out till the pain becomes unbearable. 3 more kicks, 2 more kicks, and then I will tell them what they want, end quote.
In an argument between Winston and O'Brien, it would be mentioned that, quote, do you believe in God, Winston? No. Then what is it? What is the principle that will defeat us? I don't know. The spirit of man, end quote. These scenes further proved that Winston had the power, but simply wasn't enough. It left us thinking that if more people had rebelled with him, they could have possibly overthrown the party.
Like in the Soviet Union, Merrick, this is what I'm telling you.
For goodness sake. I can't afford to drop another F-bomb. Just know I would.
1984 had some real-life connections as well, with the personal stories of Nan Chang, a Chinese woman who endured 6.5 years of hardships during China's Cultural Revolution. In a Time magazine article detailing a scene similar to those in Room 101, quote, everything I said was drowned by angry shouts and screams of confess, confess, and we will not allow a class enemy to argue. Later stated, quote, the Red Guards and revolutionaries crowded around me, shook their fists in my face, pulled at my clothes, spat on my jacket while yelling, dirty spy, dirty running dog, we will kill you.
Nan Chen would spend a lot of her time in a high-security prison for class enemies, where she would be tortured in many ways, similar to Winston in Room 101. She would face starvation and many infections caused by cuts along her wrist. Just like Winston, however, she had an upper hand over the people keeping her there. She was, quote, decided that if she was going to survive the Cultural Revolution, I need physical and mental exercise, end quote. Her perseverance would push her over the edge and would get her through a lot of the 6.5 years in prison, once again proving Gandhi to be right, as she single-handedly took on an empire.
Sorry, Merrick, but I do have to cite the Soviet Union on this one.
You know what? Gosh diddly darn.
What the?
What the?
A website dedicated to educating those of the crimes against humanity committed by communists, communistcrimes.org, has a timeline of the fall of the Soviet Union, from Mikhail Gorbachev's nomination in 1985 to the fracturing of the empire in 1991. It specifies that through Gorbachev's progressive policies of glasnost, perestroika, and democratization, the Communist Party quickly lost power and those promising peace, democracy, and freedom were put in their place.
In another Time article by Gwen Strauss, uncovering the story of 9 female French resistance fighters in World War II, it details the strength these women had to escape a concentration camp, but were ultimately not recognized for the simple fact of them being women. The article later states that, quote, but the thinking went, they should be content that at last in 1944 they were granted the right to vote.
In another CNN article, a man who noticed that homeless people find the thing that brings them the most enjoyment is their pets, and not being able to get health care for their pets is a serious problem. So Dr. Kwane Stewart has started helping the homeless by providing free medical care for their animals.
Showing support for the less fortunate is one of the best ways us as a society can make a difference. And it's how one individual can change the society by doing a good deed and inspiring others. Another CNN article by Lara Claremont: as a young child, Culpus was sheltered from the violence and the severe poverty in her country of Colombia. But as she grew up, she saw the poverty in Colombia is experiencing. So in order to help her country, she founded Terra Garta. With this individual's hard work, determination, and care for her community and country, she changed Colombia's community towards a better future.
Finally, in an article detailing the impact Leonardo da Vinci had on the world, Da Vinci, one of the most popular artists in the world, didn't just make amazing art. He changed the perspective and view of art on the whole world, and changed the art world as we know it. Some of Da Vinci's inventions that are still being used today include the calculator, helicopters, machine guns, triple barrel cannons, and the creation of solar-powered gadgets.
Da Vinci's inventions changed the world and his ideas and are still being used today. As we see, his revolutionary ideas and inventions changed the world and made him one of the greatest individuals to change the world.
As we've seen throughout history, many people have had the strength, courage, and intuition to rebel and bring change to the society around them. We've even seen it in works of fiction, such as Orwell's 1984.
Of course, we detailed many of events that have succeeded. In 1956 and 1968, revolutionary in Hungary and Czechoslovakia, respectively, did not end in the way that the rebels had hoped. But they all shared a dream, a common goal, to remain and obtain freedom.
This brings us back to our thesis that it's not a matter of if they have the power, but rather, is it enough?
Everyone has the power to make a change, whether it's a whole 8 billion or 1/8 of a billion.
It's just up to you to use that power wisely and correctly to achieve that goal.
If you enjoyed this English final, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell. Don't forget to download Raid Shadow Legends on iOS and Android.
Also, check out the new Braum album, Too Young to Quit, Too Old to Die. Until next time.
Cash?
Yeah.
What's our end quote?
Hey.
Well, I haven't gotten there yet. What the